Hi everybody. You know, the Jehovah's Witness organization has had quite a few predictions that have not come true over the last 100 years or so. And I'd like to take this time to explain to you what was taught when I was a Jehovah's Witness about the year 1914 and kind of go into very briefly what they teach now. You know, in my prior video, I had stated that I was a Jehovah's Witness until the age of 23 years old, and then I had gotten out in 1989. And as of right now, the year 2019, I'm still shunned by my family and friends. So when I talk about 1914, it's going to be in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, which was, they held on to that teaching for quite a while. Their teaching comes from Matthew 24 verses 34 that basically states this generation will by no means pass away and then the end will come. Well, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, we were taught that this generation would be those who were old enough to recognize that Jesus had begun ruling in heaven invisibly in the year 1914. And that generation, that was the generation that would not pass away. So we were taught, especially in the 1984 literature, that this generation would be those who were old enough to understand the events of 1914. So therefore, they had to have been born around the year 1900. So in the 80s, they would have been in their mid-80s. This was terrifying to me as a Jehovah's Witness because Armageddon was imminent, right? It still is imminent. So in my former video, I had stated that I had dissected this religion after I had gotten out and really learned the truth about what it was all about. And I had also stated that I didn't believe just what I read. I researched my research. And one of the things that I did was I bought some of the literature. When I would find something out that was truly unbelievable to me, I bought the literature. One of the things I bought was the 1980 Yearbook of Jehovah's Witnesses. This was literature that I used to own, but when I walked away in 1989, I walked away from my own literature as well. Another thing that I bought was this book, The New Creation, Studies in the Scriptures, if you can see that. Volume 6. This was printed in 1906. A lot of the literature that I had purchased after I had gone out to prove what I was researching, I threw away because I was just so disgusted at that point. I considered the literature to be very evil and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. But I did hold on to these two publications and I'm really glad that I did. Excuse me. I wanted to read to you the 1980 yearbook. I think I was pioneering, auxiliary pioneering in this year, dedicating my summers, you know, from school, pioneering. This yearbook, if you recall, I don't think they're printing the yearbook anymore, but it went into daily texts that we would read every single day, you know, to be in good standing. And in 1980, kind of 1975 was forgotten. They wanted that to go away, right? But I'll just read to you a few things which kind of set the tone of 1980. This is Friday, January 25th. It says, the trials of our faith are certain to increase in the days just ahead. And why? It's because since the birth of God's kingdom in 1914, the devil has been hurled down to the earth. Can you see that? I want everybody to see that this is what was taught. The devil is hurled down to the earth. He knows he has only a short period of time, hence his wrath increases towards those servants of Jehovah, us, right? On earth, who observe the commandments of God and have the work of bearing witness to Jesus, as the mighty enthroned king, and now prepares forever to vindicate Jehovah's sovereignty. Here is a page, Friday, June 27th. It says, the aging generation that has witnessed world events since 1914 CE has seen many changes among the rulers of the nations. Sunday, June 29th, now that the Gentile times ended in 1914, we know that the day for Jehovah to hold an accounting with the Gentile nations for their error must be very near. July 27th, as a result of the war in heaven, following the birth of the Messianic kingdom in 1914, he was hurled down to earth. It goes on and on and on and on and on. These were just a few of the things that I had chosen to point out about the year 1914 and what we were being taught as Jehovah's Witnesses. Another interesting thing that this yearbook says on pages 30 and 31, which is very interesting. It says, the brothers also appreciated the candor of this same talk. They were talking about some talk that were given, I believe, at an assembly. The brothers also appreciated the candor of the same talk, which acknowledged the society's responsibility for some of the disappointment a number felt regarding 1975. In this 1980 yearbook, the organization is recognizing that they had a part in it. We know that they had every part of it. We were just responding to it. But anyway, that's what the view was in 1980 about 1914. So you figure if in 1984 we were told that the generation that was born in around 1900 would have been old enough to know what was happening in 1914. That generation would never pass away. Well, guess what? It's 2019. So that generation is 119 years old. This organization had to change their policy, right? So rather than just admitting that, oh my gosh, you know what, we were wrong, and recognizing that simple wrong, they'd have decided to come up with something new, and that is this overlapping generation teaching that they have. You know, I was going to get into this teaching, but why? Because it absolutely doesn't make sense. I would bore you to death. I did watch a couple of jw.org broadcast videos about it, trying to get a handle on it. One of the videos I watched was a Kenneth Floden video that says something like this. It might have been a Splain video, or Floden or Splain. On September in 2015, he said something like this. Joseph had 11 brothers. 10 were older than Joseph. One of them, Benjamin, was younger. And we know that at least 2 of Joseph's brothers outlived him. Here he's setting the stage to bring on this overlapping generations explanation. Well, you're already confused because you've brought so many numbers into this. It's almost like, you know, those kind of jokes that's this is what I was expecting him to say. Joseph had 11 brothers. 10 were older, 1 was younger, and 2 outlived him. So, if 6 of Joseph's older brothers and 1 of his younger brothers was traveling on a train that was going 100 miles an hour, how long would it take that train to get from Egypt? No, you know how it goes. That's kind of the way the video was going, and I was like, this is just absolute madness. Anyway, the whole 1914 debacle was one of the reasons why I got out. I started thinking about it. You know, they talk about new light. Oh, this overlapping generations now is new light. Here's my take on new light. When you read the Bible, And God used people as his mouthpiece, whether he called them prophets. Doesn't matter what he called them. The organization believes that they are God's mouthpiece. In Scripture, whenever God spoke to the people through his mouthpiece, he never got it wrong. The person, the prophet, whomever it was, the seer, always got it right. He never got it partly right and then received new light and stated that what he said prior was wrong. He just misunderstood it. Any new light that was coming out in biblical times expanded upon what was presented accurately in the beginning. New light never contradicts old light. This was just a very brief video that I wanted to make. You know, in the Watchtower, June 1st, 1997 Watchtower, you can look this up on page 28 in the archives. I'm going to try to cite my sources. I can't prove everything to you on this one video, but you can find it online. June 1st, 1997 Watchtower, page 28, we were told there was no basis for calculating or counting from 1914 how close to the end we were. I just read to you from the 1980 yearbook. I could have chosen anything from those times to show, to prove to you what the mindset was back then. If 1975 wasn't bad enough for us, the end of the 1914 generation was the next best thing. I was pioneering at this time. I quit school at the time to auxiliary pioneer because these people were 80 years old. In their 80s, they had outlived the average lifespan at that time. Anyway, just some more information as to what the teaching was back when I was a Jehovah's Witness. And hey, I'd love your comments. If you have any comments at all, I'd love to hear them. I will not debate doctrine. I don't have to. It speaks for itself. But please subscribe to my channel and press like. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day.